Hi, third graders. I'm here to read you your next chapters of Wonder. Here we go. What I always loved most about middle school was that it was a separate and different from home. I could go there and be Olivia Pullman, not Via, which was my name at home. Via was what they called me in elementary school, too. Back then, everyone knew all about us, of course. Mom used to pick me up after school, and August was always in the stroller. There weren't a lot of people who were equipped to babysit Augie, so Mom and Dad brought him to all my class plays and concerts and recitals, all the school functions, the bake sales, and the book fairs. My friends knew him. My friends' parents knew him. My teachers always knew him. The janitor knew him. "Hey, how you doing, Augie?" he'd always say, and give August a high five. August was something of a fixture at PS 22. But in middle school, a lot of people didn't know about August. My old friends did, of course, but my new friends didn't. Or if they knew, it wasn't necessarily the first thing they knew about me. Maybe it was the second or third thing they'd heard about me. "Olivia? Yeah, she's nice. Did you hear she has a brother who's deformed?" I always hated that word, but I knew it was how people described Augie. And I knew those kinds of conversations probably happened all the time out of earshot. Every time I left the room at a party or bumped into groups of friends at the Pizza Palace. And that's okay. I'm always going to be the big sister of a kid with a birth defect. That's not the issue. I just don't always want to be defined that way. The best thing about high school is that hardly anybody knows me at all, except Miranda and Ella, of course. And they know not to go around talking about it. Miranda and Ella and I have known each other since the first grade. So what's so nice is we never have to explain things to one another. When I decided I wanted to call them to call me Olivia instead of just Via, they got it without having me to explain anything. They've known August since he was a little baby. When we were little, our favorite thing to do was to play dress up with Augie, load him up with feather boas and big hats and Hannah Montana wigs. He used to love it, of course, and we thought he was adorably cute in his own way. Ella said that he reminded her of E.T. She didn't say this to be mean, of course, and we thought he was she didn't say this to be mean, though maybe it was a little mean. The truth is, there's a scene in the movie when Drew Barrymore dresses E.T. in a blonde wig, and that was a ringer for Augie in our Miley Cyrus heyday. Throughout middle school, Miranda, Ella, and I were pretty much on our own little group. Somewhere between super popular and well-liked, not brainy, not jocks, not rich, not druggies, not mean, not goody-good, not huge, not flat. I don't know if the three of us found each other because we were so alike in so many ways, or that because we found each other, we've become so alike in so many ways. We were so happy when all of us got into Faulkner High School. It was such a long shot that all three of us would have been accepted, especially when almost no one else from our middle school was. I remember how we screamed into our phones the day we got our acceptance letters. This is why I haven't understood what's been going on with us lately, now that we're actually in high school. It's nothing like how I thought it would be. The next one, Major Tom. Out of the three of us, Miranda had always been the sweetest to August, hugging him and playing with him long after Ella and I had moved on playing something else. Even as we got older, Miranda always made sure to include August in our conversations, asked him how he was doing, talked to him about Avatar or Star Wars or Bone or something he liked. It was Miranda who had given Augie the astronaut helmet he practically wore every day of the year when he was 5 or 6. She would call him Major Tom and sing the Space Oddity by David Bowie together. It was our little thing. They knew all the words and would blast it on their iPod and sing the words out loud. Since Miranda has always been really good about calling us as soon as she got home from summer camp, I was a little surprised when I didn't hear from her. I even texted her and she didn't reply. I figured maybe she had ended up staying at the camp longer, now that she was a counselor. Maybe she met a cute guy. Then I realized from her Facebook wall that she'd actually been back home for a full 2 weeks. So I sent her an instant message and we chatted online a bit, but she didn't give me a reason for not calling, which I thought was bizarre. Miranda had always been a little flaky, so I figured that was it. We made plans to meet downtown, But then I had to cancel because we were driving out to visit Tata and Papa for the weekend. So I ended up not seeing either Miranda or Ella until the first day of school. And I have to admit, I was shocked. Miranda looked so different. Her hair was cut in this super cute bob that she dyed bright pink, of all things. And she was wearing a striped tube top that A, seemed inappropriate for school, and B, was totally not her style. Miranda had always been such a person about her clothes, and here she had her pink hair and tube top. But it wasn't the way that she just looked that was different. She was acting different too. I can't say she wasn't nice, because she was, but it seemed kind of distant, like I was just a casual friend. It was the weirdest thing in the world. At lunch, all three of us sat together like we always do, but the dynamic had shifted. It was obvious to me that Ella and Miranda had gotten together a few times over summer without me, though they never actually said that. I pretended to not be upset while we talked, though I could feel my face getting hot. Although Ella wasn't as all over the top as Miranda, I noticed she changed her style a little too. It's like they had talked to each other beforehand about redoing their image at school, but neither of them bothered to clue me in on it. I admit, I always thought I was above the kind of typical teenage pettiness, but I felt a lump in the back of my throat throughout lunch. My voice quivered as I said, "See you later?" After school. "I hear we're driving you home today." It was Miranda in 8th period. She had sat down at the desk right behind me. I had forgotten that Mom had called Miranda's mother the night before to ask if she could drive me home from school. "You don't have to," I answered casually. "My mom can pick me up." I thought she had to pick up Augie or something. It turns out she can pick me up afterward. She just texted me. Not a problem." "Oh, okay. Thanks." It was all a lie on my part, but I couldn't see sitting in a car with new Miranda. After school, I ducked into the restroom to avoid bumping into Miranda's mother outside. Half an hour later, I walked out of the school, ran 3 blocks to the bus stop, hopped on the bus to Central Park West, and took the subway home. "Hey there, sweetie," Mom said the moment I stepped through the front door. "How was your first day? I was starting to wonder where you guys were." We stopped for pizza. Incredible how easy it was that a lie could slip through my lips. "Is Miranda not with you?" She seemed surprised that Miranda wasn't behind me. She went home. Lots of homework." "On your first day?" "Yes, on our first day," I yelled, which was completely surprised by Mom. But before she could say anything, I said, "School was fine. It's really big, though. The kids seem nice." I wanted to give her enough information that she wouldn't feel the need to ask me more. "How was Augie's first day of school?" Mom hesitated, her eyebrows still high on her forehead from when I snapped on her a second earlier. "Okay," she said slowly, like she was letting out a breath. "What do you mean, okay?" I said. "Was it good or bad?" He said it was good. "So why did you think it wasn't good?" I just didn't say it wasn't good. Geez, Via, what's up with you?" "Just forget I asked anything at all," I answered, and stormed dramatically into Augie's room and slammed the door. He was on PlayStation and didn't even look up. I hated how zombified his video games made him. "So how was school?" I said, scooching Daisy over so I could sit next to him. "Fine," he answered, still not looking up from his game. "Augie, I'm talking to you." I pulled the PlayStation out of his hands. "Hey," he said angrily. "How was school?" "I said fine," he yelled, grabbing the PlayStation back from me. "Were people nice to you?" "Yes." "So no one was mean?" He put the PlayStation down, looked up at me as if I just asked the dumbest question in the world. "Why would people be mean?" he said. It was the first time in his life that I had heard him be sarcastic like that. I didn't think he had it in him. Next one. The Padawan bites the dust. I'm not sure at what point that night Augie had cut off his Padawan braid, or why that made me really mad. I had always found his obsession with everything Star Wars kind of geeky, and that braid in the back of his hair, with its little beads, was just awful. But it was the only thing I had been so proud of how long it took him to grow, of how he had chosen the beads himself in the crafts store. He and Christopher, his best friend, used to play with lightsabers and Star Wars stuff whenever they got together, and they had both started growing their braids out at the same time. When August cut his braid off that night without explanation, without telling me beforehand, which was surprising, or even calling Christopher, I was just so upset and I couldn't explain why. I'd seen Augie brushing his hair in the bathroom mirror. He meticulously tries to get every hair in place. He tilts his head to look at himself from different angles, like there was some magic perspective inside the mirror that could change the dimensions of his face. Mom knocked on the door after dinner. She looked drained, and I realized that me and Augie, today had been a tough day for her, too. "So, you want to tell me what's up?" she asked. "Not now, okay?" I answered. I was reading, and I was tired. Maybe later I'd end up telling her about Miranda, but just not now. "I'll check in on you before bed," she said, and then she came over and kissed me on top of my head. "Can Daisy sleep with me tonight?" "Sure. I'll bring her in later." "Don't forget to come back," I said as she left. "I promise." But she didn't come back in that night. Dad did. He told me Augie had had a bad first day, and Mom was helping him through it. He asked me how my day had gone, and I told him fine. He said he didn't believe me for a second, and I told him that Miranda and Ella were acting like jerks. I didn't mention how I took the subway home by myself, though. He said nothing tests friendships like high school, and then proceeded to poke fun at the fact that I was reading War and Peace. Not real fun, of course, since I heard him brag to people about the 15-year-old that's reading Tolstoy. But he liked to rib me about where I was in the book, in a war part or in a peace part, and if there was anything in there about Napoleon's day at the hip-hop dancer. It was silly stuff, but Dad always managed to make everyone laugh. And sometimes that's all you need to feel better. "Don't be mad at Mom," he said as he bent down to give me a goodnight kiss. "You know how much she worries about Augie." "I know," I acknowledged. "Do you want the light on or off? It's getting kind of late," he said, pausing between the light switch on the door. "Can you bring Daisy in first?" 2 seconds later, he came back with Daisy dangling in his arms, and he laid her down next to me in bed. "Good night, sweetheart," he said, kissing my forehead. He kissed Daisy on her forehead, too. "Good night, girlie. Sweet dreams."